Everybody. First thing is approval of minute for the April 25th portion of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman.
Motion made,
Second.
motion made and second to approve the minutes as provided. Anybody have any discussion? No discussion, and call for a vote. All in favor to accept the minutes as provided, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion passed. Do we have any public comments or questions?
I have a question. I just wanted to know how the Pisgah Home project was coming. Just informational only.
Sure. It is as it was. It is in just a standby mode.
Okay.
I will tell you that the district we were authorized to pursue a potential direct procurement with Motorola.
Okay.
When we got the results back from that, not us, federal engineering, they weren't happy with it. So we had told Motorola right up front, if your initial proposal isn't what we expect, based on our estimates, we're going to go out for bid. And we did. So there are only 4 manufacturers in this country that can do what we want. And so we sent an ITB, invitation to bid, to the other 3 with our specifications, requirements, et cetera. Where we are is we got 3 letters of no bid.
Oh,
All 3 vendors said they were not going to participate. There were interference in the process. The 3 vendors violated the rules of communication or RFP, ITB, RFQ. You have point of contact, you have admonishments to not talk to anybody associated. They all 3 violated that because somebody was contacting them. So we canceled the ITB. What's the point? We received.
that answers my question.
Well, it goes on.
Oh, geez.
Just a little bit. Motorola crawled back their initial proposal and they resubmitted a new one. And just today is Thursday, just as of Tuesday, our consultant federal engineering finished their review of that proposal. And I have a meeting tomorrow with legal counsel and federal engineering where they're going to go line by line with it with us. But what they're telling us is it's very promising.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to the point of Pisgah, what we need to learn is what the proposed sites are. In our requirements list, we gave them a list of priorities. Sites that we already own and operate, that's the first choice. Sites that are like government that we could co-locate with. Third would be going commercial sites. Are there owners of towers and sites commercially? Can we co-locate there? Next is brownfield, which is Pisgah Home. And I'll explain that in a minute. And then there's greenfield. Greenfield is there's nothing. It's just dirt on some mountaintop and would require us to plow roads, well, get permission or purchase a lease, plow roads, commercial power. It's a lot of money. Yeah, lots of money. Pisgah Home is what we're considering brownfield. There's something there. It needs improvements. So we have commercial power most of the way, not all the way. We have a shelter up there.
Yeah, I was aware of all that. I just
Okay.
wanted to see how the ITB process was
Yeah,
coming in.
yeah.
Well, let's hope next Friday works out well. Thank you.
Well,
Any other questions, or Dee, do you have anything? Well, okay,
You sent an email. And I forwarded it on to Mickey and Mary Jo, and I didn't follow up. Was that taken care of?
I followed up with Mike this morning,
Okay,
just made sure where it was in the LB form and we'll get that fixed.
Okay.
It was just I didn't input a number
right on.
in the right spot.
No worries.
So I appreciate the,
Eagle eyes.
yes.
doing this wrong. General fund we'll go right through the budget. So the general fund, personnel services. Anybody have any questions or concerns on it?
I was looking at this and there are several areas where the budget is less than last year and a couple where it's quite a big jump. Just wondering, like the, now, would that be due to manpower or?
I can explain part of that in personnel services at the moment. One of the line items that is down from the previous year is that deferred compensation / FIBA. And it's because the deferred compensation is wages. And so those wages are calculated in the wages up above on those line items, those wage line items. So deferred comp was pulled out of that line item and was put into the above line items.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And that's just personnel services, because that's what we're looking at right now. So we can talk more about differences when we get to the other areas, materials and services.
yeah, I would just, there was one with the big jump in the, I think it was the lead dispatchers.
We did not previously, well, we budgeted for more dispatchers on the floor last year. And this year was I actually have 3 leads, where last year we did not have those 3 leads, so we have them. So I was able to dial that number in a lot tighter,
Okay,
more actual.
thank you.
Any other questions or concerns on personal services? Okay, we'll go next to materials and services.
I will jump in there, Mr. Chair, just to point out one that is an obvious huge adjustment, which is legal services. The district has increased that actual exponentially, dramatically, because of outside litigation. Every day we're dealing with it. So we have multiple attorneys. And so we've adjusted that line item accordingly. Also with that is the anticipation of hopefully pursuing a general obligation bond this next fiscal year. So there are costs associated with that legal wise that are accounted for in that line. Also in, where is it? Professional services is jumped also, and that is also tied to the hope for a geo bond. It's our intent to find a true PR firm to help us develop pamphlets, help educate the public of what this project is, what we're asking for, and the whys behind it.
Second line item down, tower site and facility maintenance,
Yep.
4,000.
Well, that's different than, so most of that. We do, that usually comes out of the general fund.
I guess the only reason I ask is, 21, 22, it was a little over 6, 22, 23, it went down to just under 3,000. Last year, it was at 12, roughly 12.4, and now we're back down to 4. So I just see some volatility there.
The 12.4 is the budget for 23, 24. It's not actual.
Correct.
So I take it, that it's gonna be closer to 4, even for 22, 23, 24.
Just to
Or
do in
did-
23, 20, sorry, chief.
No, go ahead.
Didn't know in 23, 24, there's like a project that was done that caused it to be padded that year or not, or are we just correcting it, realizing?
Well, we are in a transition from,
Accrual based to cash base. Is that what
that's
you're
part of
thinking?
it, yeah.
Okay.
And, working with Mickey on developing this for the first time, we're really looking at actuals. What are we really spending on versus planning? A lot of it comes, we don't do a lot with facilities maintenance at the sites for the buildings and stuff, even the towers. Most of it is in repair and maintenance with Dave Wireless for the stuff inside those buildings.
Okay, so the word facility made me think facility at this building. Also,
That would be. That's,
Just regular facility maintenance.
yeah, that's like
Okay.
12.
thanks.
Yes.
Good talk, good talk.
Yeah.
You sharpened the pencil. Good job.
Capital outlay.
Really not planning on doing, we're trying to, other than consoles, and where do we find that, Nikki, the console project?
That'll just be in the equipment fund.
Yeah, that makes it. So we're really keeping our powder dry on expense because we know, or our desire is to move forward with radio project, and that will be a focus, so. As I have explained to a lot of people through this last month or so, we've intentionally been putting money in the equipment reserve fund, planning for using those funds to help offset an ask of a geo bond. So if it's $30 million, we would like to put several $1 million down, so it's 25 or 26.
That's a great thing considering what happened to the school district. All the money that they disappeared because of the increased costs. So you got a nice down payment. Hopefully that won't happen.
I like your thinking.
Shelley, are you able to hear everybody? Do you have any questions or anything?
Yeah, I can hear just fine. Nope, I'm just following along.
Okay, thanks. Fund transfers.
This goes right to what I just said. We're shoveling money into that equipment reserve. There's always going to be a balance, and this will be a conversation I have with the board, hopefully soon, of what is your comfort level? How far do you want to draw down what we reserve to use as a down payment for any system?
Especially if you want to try to get a general obligation bond out there.
Yeah.
What do you need this for if you've got all this money over here?
Well, that's already the conversation that's out there is why is your equipment reserve fund at 3.2 to 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fair question. We're shoveling money in there down offset. So that message isn't always heard, but we keep saying it.
Well, you need a nice analogy like down payment on a house or a new.
I use it for a car. That's exactly what I
A
do.
new car.
Yeah. You can finance 100% if you want, or you can put $5,000 down, you know?
I think it's also important to note, and this probably needs to come out as part of our public education campaign, is how expensive this equipment is.
Yes.
You know, first of all, we make it a government project and that doubles the price over a private project to start with.
That's right.
And then you'll realize that, you know, a lot, I don't know what a logging recorder costs today, but I remember that the first one that we bought for $25,000 when I was first on this board, I thought was just astronomically ridiculous. And you know, it seems like as it closes in on $100,000 to record everything that's going on, you know, people think of this as a recorder.
Right.
But when they're in this business, it has to be a whole different thing. And, you know, just like one radio tower site, which looks like nothing. Look at the picture. My God, it looks like not much from the sky. But on the other hand, when you know that that represents millions of dollars, you know, you get one thing that gets wiped out by a little touchdown of some kind of a tornado or something like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got to have a million or two sitting around so that you can get back up and running quickly, because it's not like we have the luxury of time in this
Right.
business. So, you know, how we get those kind of messages across to folks as to why, first of all, these projects are so expensive,
Yeah.
ridiculously expensive. And then secondly, why we do need to have a fairly robust equipment reserve fund for those unforeseen things that we deal with every year.
Well, I'll give you a little lesson. So this photo is intentional on the front. This is the Meisner site that we are finishing this week. All the equipment from that, one of those little buildings off to the right is all the equipment inside there is being migrated this week. In fact, they're almost done. The antennas are being installed on the tower. The microwave dishes are being installed on the tower this week. So this site, if we had done it from scratch, brand new everything, we'd spend in excess of $1.5 to $2 million to build this. But we are fiscally conservative, so that shelter, that square thing right there at the base of the tower, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that shelter would cost $250,000. Today, because of whatever supply chains, whatever, that shelter is $500,000. The tower is, you know, 700,000-800,000. The tower that you see there, we acquired as a surplus. It was designed to do exactly what it's doing, public safety. We re-engineered it with an engineer. We repurposed that tower. That tower, that shelter, that generator next to it, we got all of that for $30,000. And so this site, even though we did cost savings a lot, it still is a $600,000. And we pay cash for that out of the equipment reserve. So it's expensive, but so if you have $3.5 million, we just wiped out 600 of it. The microwave projects, those are hundreds of thousands of dollars for each hop. So we don't go into debt. That's my message.
Oh, anti-American.
Next category is contingency.
So our reserve funds, well, we're not there yet. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Anything on contingency? Okay, we'll go on to unappropriated fund balance.
So I believe we're calculating 800, is that right?
150,000.
Yeah,
So it's just.
just add carry over.
Carry over. Okay, then reserve fund. First reserve fund is facilities.
We're not moving a whole lot over. Or expected to move there. It's just a good, I think, what are we looking at? 600? That's, yeah. So we're just moving 300. That's correct.
On that page, on line 13, under the column proposed by budget officer. Line 13 should be added $943,350. Yours is probably 20. Oh, if you're not using. Yeah,
On the L-
on the LB
Yeah.
11.
Thank you, Mike.
Next reserve fund is equipment.
This is where we're moving larger funds over or projected to.
Any questions on that reserve fund? If everything goes right and the interests are up there, then they're expected to be 4.5 million. This time next year. And then revenue loss.
So revenue losses, our goal is to keep that equal to what the expected revenue would be for special option levy. If that failed, first year expectation from the assessor equally matches this fund balance. So we'd be, and there is a public opposition to our levy this year, no surprise. But this would hold us for 2 election cycles. And then I was asked at the advisory committee meeting, so what happens if we continue to get no votes and it doesn't pass continually? I said, well, the next logical option is to assess user fees to our user agencies. Can't just turn off the system. We can lay off people, and I walked them through that exercise, that if we continued and we had to cut, it would be everybody on this side of the building, with the exception of the CFO, because we have to pay bills and we have to do payroll. So the CFO would survive, but everybody else would be gone.
You'd hear howls all the way to Salem if you started assessing user fees.
Well, I know, and that's the beauty of this district. We don't do that. But that's the option.
Do we have any other questions on the budget?
Been a good conversation.
Yes. In. Motion to approve the.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2024-25 budget and recommend acceptance by the board.
Second,
A second by T. Motion made and approved, or a motion made and seconded to approve of the your budget of 2024 to 2025. Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank the staff for putting together a great document again. A lot of similarities, but also as we've got a new CFO, a lot of things that we're all learning differently in the way that it's presented, and I appreciate that being as painless as possible with all of this. So thank you, Mickey, for leading us down that, helping the rest of the staff, Mary Jo, I know you've been here. Intensely involved with this and having to try to meld the two systems. So appreciate all your work.
Another award winner.
Any other questions on the motion or any discussion? Shelley, do you have any questions or concerns?
I do not.
Question.
Question's been called for. All in favor for the motion to approve the budget for 2024-25, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, let's see, any comments for budget committee?
Good job, well done.
Yes,
Thank
they
you.
did.
Next year.
Really good. And I hope you didn't take it wrong when I asked about accrued versus cash, because I wondered why the 911 was doing accrued compared to tax. But so I was just trying to set these switch, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
no, thank you guys.
You turn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're adjourned. Sorry about that.
I was leaving anyway, Mike.
Was it